This is the global economy's most critical artery. The Strait of Hormuz and the surrounding Saudi oil infrastructure facilitate a massive portion of the world's energy trade, with tankers moving through this narrow corridor every hour of the day. That entire flow is currently targeted by a specific strategy. Iran relies on asymmetric warfare, utilizing low-cost weapons designed specifically to disrupt these massive, high-value economic choke points. To counter this, the U.S. maintains an incredibly expensive defensive presence. This is an E-3 Sentry AWACS, a multi-billion-dollar early warning platform designed to manage air operations and detect threats from high altitudes. But the AWACS and the fleets it supports have a specific vulnerability. They are designed for conventional air combat, and they struggle to track low-altitude swarms of Shahed kamikaze drones, weapons that cost only a fraction of a single interceptor missile. This gap leaves legacy systems like the Patriot missile battery in a difficult position. Because these drone swarms fly so low, they can bypass massive radar networks entirely, rendering billion-dollar defense grids ineffective against a swarm tactic that costs almost nothing to execute. Gulf nations now face a calculated risk. Sinking even one tanker here could skyrocket global oil prices to triple digits overnight. To prevent that outcome, these countries are looking past the traditional military exports of Washington and Moscow for a functional solution. The wealthiest petrostates are now turning to a country currently fighting for its own survival. They are bypassing traditional superpowers to buy their security from Ukraine. The center of this shift is the Prince Sultan Air Base in the Saudi Arabian desert. This massive facility houses the region's most expensive aircraft, and it has become the primary testing ground for a new defensive architecture. Instead of relying on traditional radar, Ukraine has implemented the SkyMap project. They have installed a network of over 10,000 acoustic sensors across the desert to listen for threats the radar can't see. These sensors function as specialized microphones. They capture the specific engine noise of low-flying drones from miles away, operating with perfect accuracy, even in 120-degree heat or blinding sandstorms. That raw audio is instantly processed by AI algorithms. The system filters out the desert wind and base generators, allowing the command center to lock on to the exact frequency of an incoming enemy engine in a tenth of a second. Once a threat is confirmed, low-cost interceptor drones are launched. These drones dive into the incoming swarm, tearing them to pieces in midair and neutralizing the attack before it ever reaches the base. This technology isn't just being delivered, it's being integrated. American soldiers at Prince Sultan are being trained by Ukrainian experts, relying on 4 years of combat experience to protect the Pentagon's most valuable assets. The threat extends to the water. In the narrowest parts of the Strait of Hormuz, 20% of the global oil supply passes through a corridor that Iran has turned into a maritime minefield. Iran uses a strategy of maritime blackmail, deploying underwater contact mines and armed speedboats. For a slow-moving supertanker, these weapons can turn a billion-dollar cargo into a fireball in seconds. To clear these routes, the Ukrainian Navy is deploying NATO-standard minehunter ships. These vessels use specialized fiberglass hulls to maintain a near-zero magnetic signature, allowing them to glide over mines without triggering them. These ships utilize remotely operated vehicles to map the sea floor and detonate explosives with zero risk to the crew. What used to be a weeks-long clearing operation is now completed in a matter of hours. For active defense against speedboats, Ukraine has brought the MAGURA V5. This unmanned surface vessel was perfected through years of attrition against the Russian Navy in the Black Sea. These drones form high-speed wolf packs around tankers. Reaching speeds of 50 miles per hour, they can intercept Iranian speedboats and use suicide dive tactics to force attackers to change course. By dominating both the airspace and the seafloor with autonomous tech, Ukraine has established an impenetrable fortress over the world's most dangerous maritime route. This shift is redefining regional diplomacy. Gulf leaders are signing billion-dollar 10-year deals with Kiev, choosing Ukrainian combat experience over traditional Western defense contracts. While Western sales are often stalled by months of congressional oversight, Ukraine offers instant deployment. There are already hundreds of Ukrainian experts on the ground in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Kuwait, teaching local forces the nuances of drone warfare. The exchange is highly practical. As Ukrainian technology secures the Gulf, a direct return flow of cash, energy guarantees, and ammunition flows back to Kiev. This influx of capital is helping Ukraine rebuild and sustain its own war effort. They have effectively turned their combat expertise into an export that finances their independence. In Moscow, the reaction is one of geopolitical shock. Russia spent decades positioning itself as the primary alternative to U.S. hardware, only to lose the largest slice of the Middle Eastern market to the very nation it is fighting on the front lines. Simultaneously, U.S. military prestige is now tied to the performance of these Ukrainian sensors. In this region, the safety of billions of dollars in American hardware now depends on the success of Eastern European innovation. Kiev has transitioned from an aid recipient into a premier security provider, billing the world's richest states for its military intelligence. This shift confirms that dominance in modern conflict belongs to whoever can build at scale and iterate through the reality of total war.